I'm Mallory with Jason's Heart. I'm going to be interviewing Bev Carlson from Lutheran Family Services. She is the Assistant Vice President of Marketing, Communications, and Advocacy. So I'm looking forward to learning more about Lutheran Family Services, and I hope you are too.
Morning, Mallory. Nice to
Hi,
see you.
Hi Bev. Welcome.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, good.
Good. So we just have some questions for you to get to know LFS and the history of it and the different programs and which ones stand out to you the most. So let's just dive right in. So Lutheran Family Services seems to focus on four different areas: behavioral health, children's services, family services, and new Americans. Can you give me a very bird's eye view of that and how those services came about?
Absolutely. LFS is a 130-year organization. We were founded as an orphanage in Fremont by a Lutheran pastor and primarily served children and families in all of those early years. And I think as we grew, our leadership just recognized the additional needs in the community, and we pivoted to meet those needs. It's just something that we do. It's sort of in our DNA is seeing what's happening in communities and trying to help. Our work in behavioral health really flowed out of what we saw needed to happen in families to help them become healthy, and then grew to embrace all of the other things that we do with mental health, substance abuse, medication management, so on. Like I said, it's just kind of in our DNA to pivot to meet needs people where they are. We started resettlement in 1975, right after the Vietnam War, and because there was a need. And last year, we resettled 1,180 refugees from a number of different countries, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine, of course. So it's just LFS is one of those organizations that sees what's happening and wants to help,
Mhm.
and we go do it. So
Yeah, and you have such a big impact on the community and the people you serve in so many different areas, and that's really cool to hear. So you offer services regarding substance use. Can you walk me through the various programs that you provide, the length of treatment, what kind of treatment it is, who is eligible for treatment?
absolutely, that's something that'll be different for every person,
Yeah.
of course, depending on their circumstances, and that is something that is really important to note because we see each person as an individual, not as a number. I mean, it's just we want to see what will work for you. But in general, there are two levels of care. There's regular outpatient therapy, and then there's an intensive outpatient program. The regular OP, as we call it, outpatient therapy, is kind of a level one. It is professionally directed evaluation, treatment, and recovery services for individuals that are experiencing a substance abuse or use disorder.
Mhm.
It consists of like 9 hours or less a week of treatment services that can be provided but either in a group or in individual sessions, and or combination of both, just depending on what the individual needs. And these treatments usually last about 12 weeks, and services are available both in the day and during the daytime and the evenings.
Mhm.
So it's really to meet the needs of that person. We do have walk-in visits available and open access during certain times for the OP therapy, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But I also want to mention the level two, a little bit higher level of care. This is the intensive outpatient program. Is a group-focused, non-residential program. People don't stay with us, but it's for adults 19 and older. IOP is a little bit more in depth. Like I said, it's like 3 hour group sessions, 3 days a week, and at least extra individual session or with either with the person or their family every week. So it's really a minimum of at least 10 hours a week of very intensive therapy, and usually lasts anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. And those services are available in the days and evenings. The thing I really want to mention is, especially in our Lincoln office, because it's something that people if they're trying to figure out, is this something I need or who do I reach out to?
Mhm.
We do have these walk-in assessments in Lincoln. You need to check with them to see their in-office hours. But one way to start is there are remote telehealth assessments
Oh,
that
wow.
are available during our open access hours. And there is a link on our website at onelfs.org that folks can go in and they can just click to go into the lobby during those hours virtually
Mhm.
and wait for the opportunity to speak with one of our staff members. So it's pretty cool. Those hours are listed on our website. It's under the behavioral health tab at onelfs.org, just under outpatient therapy. And there are hours like Monday mornings, Monday afternoons, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays that you can go in and just get in line and speak to someone.
Okay. Yeah, I have never heard of that being available to people, and that really opens up for people that have just a lunch break during that time that can come in and talk to a therapist. That's really neat that you provide that access for people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so you offer trauma treatment. Can you tell me a little bit about EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing?
Yeah. EMDR is really an amazing tool. It's been around a few years. LFS was one of the first organizations to use it. We started using it as part of our services to military veterans
Mhm.
when they were coming back and dealing with trauma. And this was a way for them to get back to the main path of life. EMDR is a therapy. The best way to describe it is the therapists have to be specially trained and they use certain tools like lights or tapping or different uh, methods of helping to readjust the way that the brain is thinking.
Mhm.
And the an easy way to look at it is like if you have a trauma that happens to you, you see something, you've been an abuse victim, whatever that happens to be, it tends to be something that's right in front of you. You see it, and everything in your life, you are trying to look past this trauma that's right there. So it really clouds your view of everything. It marks your ability to see life clearly, right? So
Mhm.
what EMDR does is it helps push that away to the side so it's still part of you, it's still part of your psyche, but it's not in the way of you being able to process life as it is.
Mhm.
And it's evolved. Like I mentioned, it was originally used specifically to help returning veterans. Now it's used in our Safe program for children who have been through trauma, sexual abuse trauma, or other traumas. People themselves. I know I interviewed a few years ago, I interviewed a young lady who was a young professional, but she had been through horrific child abuse and was able to use, the therapists were able to use EMDR to help her get past that and stop some of the behaviors that she had brought into her life that were very destructive. She was able to get past that and go on and have a fulfilling family life and personal life. So EMDR is a very effective tool.
Yeah. I love that metaphor that you use. That's gonna stick with me. I've known a lot of people that have used EMDR, and it's been very effective for them.
Certainly. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about Josiah's Place, which is housing for those with severe mental illness?
Absolutely. Josiah's Place is out in North Platte. LFS is a statewide organization. We have offices also in Western Iowa, but all the way across the state. And this is a house that was a facility that is a project that we did with the Department of Housing and Urban Development. There's not a lot of, or wasn't a lot of places for adults with severe mental illness to be able to live independently. And so this is what Josiah's Place does. It was opened in 2007. It has 10 apartments and there is just enough. It's for folks with low income, but also they can be independent, but they just need a little bit of support,
Mhm.
and so they get that at Josiah's Place, and it's a community of support for people.
What are some of the resources that you provide when it comes to children and youth's mental health?
Oh my goodness. There are so many. The mental health and children's and teens behavioral health. We have the full spectrum from, as I mentioned earlier, children who have been through abuse situations, or children that have maybe seen something that they really should not have seen, have not been able to process, parents fighting, for example, when they're small, or whatever those things are. But we do, as I mentioned, we do use EMDR for kids. We have different therapies, psychotherapy, child parent psychotherapy that our therapists work with them. Security, it's called Circle of Security, parent training, opportunity for to reestablish those bonds between children and parents. We have PCIT, which it stands for Parent Child Interaction Therapy. This is one that I've always been really fascinated by, because we have offices, several of our office have these PCIT rooms where parents will a therapist will observe a parent interacting with their child if they're
Mhm.
having challenges with discipline, behavior, whatever, with that child. And then the therapist will be able to, the parent wears the earbud, and the therapist can talk them through better ways of addressing the challenge that parent is having with that child's behavior. So it's a very gentle way to reteach the parent on best practices on working with their children, maybe undoing some behaviors they learned as kids and breaking that cycle. But it's a very effective tool. And so anyway, that's PCIT. We also use other behavioral therapies related to children that have been through trauma. And then we have a collaboration with Youth Emergency Services in Omaha.
Okay.
It's called Youth Street Outreach, and we work with homeless and street dependent youth to help the ages 20 to or 12 to about 21, just to help them be safe, services they might need for their well-being, whether it's meals, showers, if they need therapy or health services or whatever. We help make those connections with them as well. So that's
Those
an
are
overview. Yeah.
great. I didn't know about either of those. There's so many services that LFS provides, and it sounds like both of those are so needed with people in our community.
Yeah, it's good. The big thing that we've learned, and I one I can talk about it a little bit more later, but one of my very favorite programs that we have at LFS is our Centers for Healthy Families.
Okay.
What that does is we talked before about behavioral health. This is more
Mhm.
just the services that we provide for children and families, the adoption and foster care, and all of those things. But the Centers for Healthy Families, we have one in North Omaha, one in Council Bluffs, one in Fremont. And what they do is they really do a lot of work with young parents, especially young parents who are at risk. So maybe there's low income, there's a history of violence, there's other situations that might make those parents feel like they're not fully equipped to properly parent a child safely, or just they just want to know how to do it better than their parents did. And that program, I mean, they do so much training on, I mean, things like nutrition, how to cook a nutritious meal, how to respond to a child having a tantrum, different classes that way. And then there is a boutique connected to that where the parents can earn points for doing things for their kids, like taking them to the zoo, or reading to them at night before they go to bed, or taking them to church or something. And as the parents earn those points, they are basically building up a bank so they can go into this little boutique that we have on site and get things for their kids: car seats, diapers, clothes, shoes, whatever they need. It's a tremendous program. It's a way for our parents to learn how to break a cycle of violence that maybe they learned as their when they
Mhm.
were kids. They don't, maybe their parents yelled at them all the time, or even hurt them,
Mhm.
and they don't know any other way to parent a child unless they get some better coaching, right? So that's what it does. And these parents are able to take their points once they've earned them and go get things for their kids. And it's dignified, and it's something they've earned. And it's not, I mean, the goal there is to never shame a
Mhm.
parent. We want them to be good and better and happy, and be able to experience the joy of having those children. So
And that's a win-win situation. Get
all
to
the time. Yeah, yeah.
go and do activities with their kids and also get something that's needed for them.
Yeah, and it's all about prevention. It's all about,
Mhm.
let's prevent child abuse. Let's give the parents the tools that they need so that we can break those cycles.
Yeah.
And it's a program that's been around for years, and it really is a powerful thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. What is one program that you're really proud of at LFS and why?
I think that's probably the one that I would call out is the Centers for Healthy Families. But I'm really happy with it's one of the hardest programs that we have, but it's so important is our safe program. We work with children. We're based at Project Harmony, and in Lincoln it's Be Brave, I believe is the name of the new facility down there, but we partner with them and we do the long-term counseling and support for children who've been sexually abused. And so that is an important program because especially when if it affects the whole family, and especially if the abuse happened to happen within the family, that makes it even more complicated. But the program itself is extremely successful, and it establishes a plan of conduct for the whole family. I know one mom called it a new normal that they now have in their home. An older sibling abused a younger sibling, and so there were two things going on there. Preserving, helping that child that was abused, and then helping the young man that was involved in the abuse so that he doesn't do it again, and recognizing the wrongness of his behavior, right? So that program was able to help all of that, and that's kind of what they do. That has been around for a while, and it really it does prevent the reoccurrence of really tragic situations.
Yeah. And a lot of the times people just don't know any better.
Mhm.
Yeah, that seems like a really holistic, well-rounded program
Yeah,
that, yeah, I might have skipped around a little bit. No,
that's
that's
okay.
good. What are the main differences between peer and task?
Oh, okay. Well, PEER is a support program for people that are severely and persistently mentally ill. It stands for Partners in Empowerment and Recovery, PIER. And so we work with Centerpoint in Lincoln for that program, and they do medication management, vocational support. It's sort of a integrated care, a holistic way of looking at that person and
Mhm.
helping them in whatever way they need to help get them on their feet and help keep them safe and healthy. And then task is a little bit different. It's called, that stands for Targeted Adult Service Coordination, and it's several levels of service for folks that are either they're going into emergency protective custody or at risk of going into protective custody. They support the, let me see if I can, let me back up a little bit. We work with the Blue Valley Behavioral Health Center and House of Hope in order to provide these services for them. And it really allows individual coordinated care for folks that are in those difficult situations and helps keep people safe.
So it sounds to me like peer is a longer term program that people are in kind of a management program, whereas task is very preventative and quick and hands on and shorter term.
Yeah, it's more crisis focused.
Okay.
Rather than the ongoing support. Because, like, one of the things in Lincoln that's really fabulous is at Health 360, which is there on O Street. That is a really good example of an integrated care type scenario where you have both medical doctors and behavioral health therapists on site.
Mhm.
And so you have someone come in who is in need of low income, they're challenged, they're homeless even. And if they come in, it will, for maybe they have a cold or something, they can also be diagnosed with do they need blood pressure medication as well? Do they need some counseling? So it gives the doctors and specialists an opportunity to look at that person as a whole and evaluate their situation and how we can help improve it and make them less likely to stop taking their medicines and just continue to be able to function at the highest level that they can.
Yeah. And that's a very innovative approach to healthcare, looking at mental health, physical health, social health, and just kind of treating all of those things in the same building.
Yeah, that's where it's going.
Yeah.
That's sort of the view. If you've heard about the CCBHCs, that's
Mhm.
kind of the model. We've been
Yep.
doing it for a few years, but that's kind of everybody's kind of picking up on the fact that it works. It makes
Yes.
a
Yep.
difference. So
Two of your children's services that stood out to me are Kin Care and the Fatherhood Initiative. Can you describe what these programs offer?
absolutely. Kin Care is a program that helps families that, for one reason or another, the mother and father are unable to care for the children. So the first place that we want to look is within that family, grandparents, aunts, uncles that might be available to serve in a parental role for that child,
Okay.
or those children. And so this Kin Care is a support program for that. The Fatherhood Initiative is support and peer support, especially for non-custodial fathers, giving them, resources on how to continue to engage with their children, even in a non-custodial role. So that both of those programs are growing quite a bit, and we have some amazing people on those teams. So if folks need those resources, they should really check with us and see if we can help them in some way.
Okay. So just go to the website
Yep,
and there's
absolutely, and the contacts are on there, phone numbers are on there, emails as well.
okay.
So,
Okay. And the last question that I have, you do a lot of work with refugee reception
mm,
and placement. Can you go into some detail with that?
well, that could be a very long answer. Refugee resettlement is a really it's an amazing program. As I think I mentioned earlier, we resettled 1,180 refugees last year in Nebraska, most of them in Lincoln and Omaha, and but they were not just from the Afghanistan area and the Ukraine. I mean, they're pretty consistently from all parts of the world that are experiencing turmoil and war. Refugees have a special status. They come to the United States at the invitation of the United States government. The president every year determines how many can come in the across the whole country, and so all of the refugee resettlement agencies like us, we're the largest one in the state. We work with that, and so the services that we provide are we work directly with the national agencies that work on refugee resettlement that are they're the ones that are doing all the communication across the
Mhm.
ocean or whatever. And then we work to we meet folks when they arrive at the airport. Most of them arrive with two bags. One of them has all of their worldly belongings and the other one has their papers in it.
Okay.
And so we work with them. We help get them somewhere to live and get them acclimated into their environment, whether it's a language issue, get their kids enrolled in school if they're old enough for that. We help them find jobs. We work with employers who are looking for refugees to work for them. And we really provide an overall support system for them, especially in those first 90 days, because there are requirements that the government insists upon that they have to meet within the first 90 days.
Okay.
And then from there, we do provide ongoing support and a connection up to about 5 years. So,
Is there anything that the community can do or individuals in the community can do to volunteer with that?
absolutely, we're always looking for volunteers.
Okay.
Just go to our website, How Can I Help? And you'll be connected with our volunteer coordinator.
Sounds good. Is there anything else that you would like to highlight?
I don't know. I guess the one thing I like to mention is that I'm really super proud of the organization. LFS has been around for a long time. Like I said, I worked for LFS before, up until about 2015.
Okay.
And I went away and came back just a few months ago because um, I love the organization. I love what it stands for. I love the mission, and it is boots on the ground every day, helping people going through either the most joyful or the most challenging parts of their lives. And I look at it like this: LFS does so much of the heavy lifting that creates stabilities in our communities. It creates the stability and consistency, and people know the work is getting done, but they don't know who's doing it. Like, who's keeping the folks with behavioral health challenges off the streets?
Mhm.
Who's helping them get what they need? Probably LFS.
Mhm.
So that's why it's just a tremendous organization. I'm very proud to be part of it. And I encourage people to learn more about it and find out if it's either we have services that you could either benefit from. If you want to don't we are a not-for-profit, so we have donors. So if people want to donate to support any of our programs, we would be open to that and would love that. And we are always looking for volunteers, whether it's in refugee resettlement or some of our other programs.
Okay.
So we would love for people to get involved, learn more about us. We're at one LFS. It's ONELFS.org.
Okay. OneLFS.org.
Yeah,
Thank you for meeting with me and
absolutely.
helping us all get to know LFS more. I've learned so much today about the organization, and it's just really neat to hear all the details and talk to someone one on one about it. So
Anytime.
super grateful for that. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye bye.